Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Greg. I'm going to go over a coin called Elrond and update it more or less is what I'm going to be doing. Is 53.73 is it trading at right now. It's up just over 1%. This is, in my opinion, I think it's probably an underrated coin. One of the reasons I say it's underrated is because of this right here, guys. Limited supply. That's really, really good. You take a look at the chart. The chart proves by the price action, previous price action, that it does have limited supply, and they have a lot of Twitter followers too. So this is the areas you want to check and check the markets, and you can see it's all over all the major exchanges. You know, like everybody and their brother can go buy if they want. They can go buy Elrond. So let's go over the charts. So here's the situation I'm going with the charts, guys. So I throw it in a parallel channel, make sure everything makes sense. And go over the basics for those that just landed here, new subscribers. Hey, do appreciate you. Thanks for subscribing. Oh, and by the way, drop a like, hit the subscribe button too if you just land on this video. So Elrond did is an extended third wave here because the first wave extended. So all of this right here from this peak to that peak is a third wave. And then you have over here a wave one. I don't count the wicks there. Back down for wave two. That would be your three, and over here for a four. Okay, that's what I'm saying currently right now till proven otherwise. I can show you there's evidence to support that too. So, and you can see this wave four was, you know, kind of a deep correction. And then over here, so you see the confluence in the middle of the line, top of the line, hit there, hit there, hit there, and now it's over here, confluence for the middle right there, and then also up here on that correction. So this correction hit the middle and that correction hit the middle, and there's a good, you have a good shot that it's finished. Okay, now the confluence too with it is that you can see right here is hit this area. Let me go out to a daily chart, show you guys. Going out to a daily chart, show you, and the correction there, confluence with this other fourth wave, and right on top of that wick right over there. Now, the other thing you want to be aware of with this type of move, that it could be, this could be also be a target more or less on top of this wave and that wave too. That could be an area where it's going to go to. Personally, I don't think so, just because of this swing right here is a three-wave swing. And then for it to come down here, now you have a five-wave swing. And more than likely, it's not going to be a W, X, Y, X, Z move. More than likely. Could it be? It could. But the odds are not likely that that's what it's going to happen. But you can never rule it out. So you could have a potential drop from where it is right now back down to there, which is 51%, back down to those areas. Okay, that is a potential, guys. You want to be aware of that. I don't think so. I think you have a good shot of it ended right there. So let's investigate that. And well, let me go over the targets and show you guys something here with the weekly, what I would expect if the cryptocurrency markets go bullish with Elrond. So you can get prepared for it. At least I'll be getting prepared for this in there. So weekly, you got a first wave thrust, massive amount of RSI, third wave, your fifth of your third, your bearish divergence telling you a correction is coming, and it's corrected, brought it all the way back down here to take most everything out back down to here. So that's a exaggerated bullish divergence for it to make another move up there. Okay, so it looks good from that perspective. You can check the other time frames too, like a 5-day chart here. You can see took everything out, so it looks good. You can check all those charts just to you know, be on the safe. It doesn't hurt to keep rechecking and rechecking before you start, you know, not financial advice, plopping your money into something like this. So let's go to the correction that it's doing, or its move. So the move off the bottom, I investigated it. It did do a diagonal. So this is a wave one. And this is the, you know, like trying to suss this out and what is going on in there. So if it is a diagonal, then it can't be, it's more likely not ABC, because it just barely broke the high. And it's very odd for an A, B, and just to have the C right there. Can it happen? It could, but very, very odd in my opinion. And the other reason, clue I'm getting that something else is going on, is that here in the 12-hour chart, you can see this, that RSI came all the way back down here and took everything out, almost back that down to where it started over here. So something bullish, that's the bullish, hidden bullish divergence. And so something strange is going on with Elrond. I'll be first to admit, can't really suss it out. But if this is a diagonal, guys, and it can be, it could be, it would be this whole thing would be a year 1, 2. Okay, this would be a 1 and then potentially 2. Okay, your line in the sand for that is this right here, 46. If it breaks that, this area right here, 46, 43, you have your answer. I don't think it's going to break that because I think right here is a flat move. This is your A, B, C right there. And I think Elrond is making a flat right there, guys. 2.618 will be the target right there, that 48, more than likely with Elrond, right in those areas. And if that is a flat, this is a corrective move down. And what that means is that the next move is up. And the RSI is telling me. And the RSI is telling me that. So it's disguising itself. Once again, hard to suss things out. Not a surprise. It's hard to suss this out, what exactly is going on. Now, this is what I'll say. You know, when you're looking at some of these coins that just finished a correction, they can be very, very difficult to suss out. It's like, is it corrective? Is it every time they're in this area, guys? Just as an example, I'll let you know. You'll have 50% of people say it's bearish and it's going to dump. You have the other 50% say it's bullish and it's going to pop. Okay, that's just the way it always is. But I'll show you an example. Let's go to the chart over here and go look at its original start of its third wave. And if you come over here in the third wave on the 12-hour chart, same thing going on over here, guys, more than likely, you know, sussing that out. Here was its bottom, it went up, went here, and then, you know, could you say, okay, is this a 1, 2? Is this a 1, 2? Is that a 1, 2? Well, in this instance, whoever was saying it was bullish was correct, because you can see what happens next. It just took off and started making all those sequences, and it was off to the races right there. Could it be something similar is going on over there? Very well could be, guys. So you just don't know. You have to have your you know, your risk mitigation strategies in there. If you're entering in, you have your targets. If it breaks this right here, this $39 more or less, then you'll have your answer. But now this is one thing that I'll say too about corrections when they come to an end. One thing that they do like to do, another coin is Glimmer. I was showing people Glimmer on that chart. That thing's coming real close to breaking its sequence. But one thing at the bottoms, what some of them will do before they just launch out of there is you'll see them just hanging out. Okay, it's not ready. So let's say this is a 1, 2, maybe potentially a 1, 2, and then it's going to go in. It's going to do, you know, maybe another 1, 2, and they'll just be hanging out right there, right by that corrective area, making you wonder, hey, this has got to be bearish. It's going to go down just like that. And then, you know, you see 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and then boom, it gets out of there. That can happen. That's what I would be watching for with Elrond. Now, what makes me say that the potential upside is higher rather than lower with Elrond is the data that I have here in the chart. So if you take a look at this second wave that it did, what did it dump? This was a 92% dump, okay, right there. So in that area, so when it completed, I'm not counting the wick, keep the wicks out, 92% dump, and then we have another wave over here. And if I take the top of that area and come down more or less to the bottom, 93%. So here's 93% and then 92%, and you see what happens next. 93%, 93% over here, and then potentially up to that area next. And you can look at it too from a time perspective. How long did this correction take? More or less, it took it 252 days, and then you have a correction over here. I'll take a look at this time. You know, right there at that bottom wick, where let me land on that thing, 203 days. So it could be, you know, it's making sense to me, you know, that the time here to time there matches. This is the third wave. This is a fourth wave deep correction. This is second wave deep correction. This is more like, you can see it's more like stretched out. you know, it's deep, but you can see how it's kind of like a sideways. And this one here is not so much sideways. It's more like a, you know, go down into aggressive zigzag. It's actually WXY, but down like that. So the odds are, I would say, more upside. Talk about targets. I wouldn't count on this going to the top of the box. That's actually kind of ridiculous. More than likely, just because the confluence on these areas right here where it did its correction, you could see it, Elrond going up to 539, and then it might do a fifth wave thrust right there to about $1,000 or $1,100. That's what I would expect. So maybe something like this, and it gets out of there, correct down, and then boom, it'll do a thrust up there, and that more than likely will be the end of it with Elrond. Now, what will happen is that you got an opportunity. So you have you know, your 1, 2, and here's the third wave, extended third wave, down for a 4, and then possibly up for a 5th, wherever this 5th is going to potentially end. So here you have your long, right? Here's your long. Okay, what can you do? You flip and you go short. If this is the sequence that Elrond is going to complete, 5th wave right past the 3rd wave, right? Because this 3rd wave was extended, the first wave, this 1st wave and the 5th wave are going to be equal in length, not shape. Okay, so like this thing went blasted straight up, boom. And the 5th wave's not going to go over here and go boom like that. It's going to like probably drag out, kind of like this one right here. You know, they're going to drag out a little bit. So you can take your fib extension, right? I'm going to take the bottom and go to the top, and then go all the way down to the bottom of that 1st wave, and you can say it ends right there. You see that right there, that 5th wave, you know, maybe it'll be right past the 1st wave. So right in that area is where it can possibly potentially land, because the probability of the 5th wave being the same length as this wave is high, because this wave is extended. So that would be the area. All right, guys, just remember, keep the bearishness in the back of your mind, where you could potentially, you know, let's say you're playing off that low. So you play the, you know, the odds here, you know, you increase it, right? So you're saying, okay, potentially, we don't know what's going on in here. I'm bullish on Elrond, and you know, maybe the market, you know, everybody says everything's bearish. It's just going to dump, 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 dump. So they're probably wrong. You know, they're usually wrong. The herds were usually wrong. So I'm going to go, all right, I'm going to jump into here, and it's at 46. I'm going to have a stop loss at 38. 38. I'll have a stop loss at 38, right? So let's see here. Okay. So I jumped in at, let's say, where is that? Stop loss. I jumped in at, what were those numbers again? 46. Yeah, 46. Okay. Here's your loss right there. 16%. 16% loss. Okay. You say, okay, I'm out. 16. Let's just call it 20%. 20% loss, right? All right. So here's the potential move right here. Up. You know, 4, 5, you know, this area, like your risk to reward ratio is pretty darn good. But you get out, right? So you get out and you're like, oh, I screwed that up. I messed that up, right? So you're like, okay, maybe it's going to go down to here. And then you see it down here and you're like, oh, okay, maybe it wasn't ready for it yet. And it's down here on top of these waves or something like that. I don't think so, guys. I think, you know, I've just, through experience, when you're there and you're not 100% sure on something, it's like, is it bullish? Is it bearish? You know, it's very, they play tricks on your mind. Like they play tricks. You're like, oh, it's bearish. And then boom, it gets out of there. Right. So, and especially when everybody and their brother is saying that the whole market's bearish, and then just going over the looks, you know, I mean, go past history of Elrond and take a look at it. Like, you know, people probably in this area right here, guys, you look at Elrond, right? So we're going to investigate this area. They were having a discussion. All the Elliott wave people are like, oh, you know, that's bearish, man. This thing's going to zero, man. Can't you tell? Look at that. There's nothing, you know, next thing you know, boom, it goes out of there. So could be happening over here. You know, look at the candles in this area on the weekly chart. You know, you got a bearish candle right here. I'm not concerned with that, actually. That's good because it's dragging that RSI down in this area, making hidden bullish divergence, in my opinion. We see over here, you know, green candle, red candle, red candle, and then it just got out of there on the weekly. And take a look at it on the daily. You're just comparing it from this area, you know. It's the same thing going on. Come over to this area right here. You know, you can get more of a bullishness out of this, you know, like 1-2, then 1-2, and then it was off right there. But that was a third wave. You have to remember, third waves, man, when they're in the third wave, these things just rip. You know, the start, if you come over to the beginning of it, it's hard to start a little bit. It's the same thing over here. After its correction, guys, same thing. It's just real hard to start, comes down and boom. All right, guys, that's the end of my video on Elrond. I just pay attention to it, see what it's going to be doing right here in the RSI. And it doesn't look too bad, even though it's confusing right now. And honestly, in my opinion, it doesn't look that bad. It's probably getting itself ready, set, and then boom, probably more of a correction. And then you want to see if it's struggling, if it's just sitting there struggling, going, oh, I don't really want to go down type mentality with the candles. It's like, oh, then that actually is a really good signal you want to pay attention to. Made all the way to the end of my video. Drop a like, hit the subscribe button. Peace.